considering that I have stuttered my entire life, this is kind of going to be a bit of a challenge. My name is Sue, and this is my very first, almost my very first YouTube video. So the first thing that they tell you in YouTube advice, don't ramble. So I named my channel Rambling Retiree, because a ramble is a walk for pleasure without a definite route. I've lived in 10 cities in 8 states, in 3 countries, and 2 continents. I hold a degree in graphic arts and in theater, and I wanted to be a kids book illustrator at one point. I have 3 kids books in the works. I have 3 novels in the works. I've finished one of the novels. It sucked. It was really bad. I had 2 friends brave enough to read the whole thing, plus my sister. God knows why she did that. But anyway, so they read the whole thing and they thought I could probably get it fixed and back together and publishable if I had like 3 weeks in a cabin sometime. And that was back quite a while ago, and I did not have time at that time. So right when I retired, the first thing I went to do was to finish the novel, and that hasn't happened yet. I'm an idea person, so I'll have an idea and I'll have 20 ideas. When I was in graphics school, I would come up with, they'd say, do some thumbnails. So let's brainstorm a little bit. So I would do some thumbnails, and I would sit down, and 2 hours later I have a full page of thumbnails. Everybody else still has a blank sheet of paper. So my problem isn't coming up with things to do. My problem is finishing the things I started. And my very first career, you might say, was ended when I was 17, maybe before I was 17, because I was an ice skater. So I was a competitive ice skater. It wasn't just kind of... My sister was the president of the United States Figure Skating Association a couple of years ago. She was the U.S. pairs judge at the Sochi Olympics. I think she's the one that wanted to skate. I don't really think that was me. But I did skate for 8 years. My parents had expectations of things that should happen and the way they should happen. At one point, my boyfriend at the time said, "You are not an underachiever. You're an overachiever at things you're not even good at." So this is all about the rambling part. I'll get to the retired part in another video. I also need to find out how to live more slowly, as I always think there's somewhere I need to be, something else I need to be doing, something I should have done already. Why didn't I finish that book? Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? I was going to wait to retire, but then life happened. What is it? John Lennon said, life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. I have had such strange things happen in my life. So I've been in an airplane where the engine caught fire. I have been hit by 2 vehicles. One was a car, one was a truck. And the driver of the car saw me, but saw that I had looked a number of times. I just got back from Europe, and I knew there was a huge possibility that you get hit by a vehicle when you come back from Britain, because it's the other side of the road. So I was looking and looking and looking, and I'm also dyslexic. So how am I supposed to know? Look right, look left. I'm likely to look straight. During COVID, everybody else got COVID. I was hospitalized in 2022 for Legionnaire's disease and sepsis. I almost died. That's actually one of the reasons I'm here. So now this is me coming back to the Pacific Northwest, where I feel like I'm from, and feels like home to me. My reasons for setting up the channel have evolved. I've been watching quite a few people who are either older or retired, and one person who is very good about how to set up your channel and how to film what you want to say is Kevin Colby, and he had a video that says why showing up just matters, and this might be one other person who needs to hear what you have to say. George Harrison had said in his autobiography, I Mean Mine, that if just one person had been helped by his being a Beatle, that all of everything he had to go through as a Beatle would have been worth it. And back in the day, 1994, my stepdaughter had split brain surgery. Her name was Katie, and I was not in favor of it because she had seizures, but they could generally be controlled if you didn't put her in front of the TV. And her mother just insisted on putting her in the TV. So she had all these seizures, but she wound up with having the split brain surgery. And while she was having the split brain surgery, I put on My Sweet Lord on the CD player on perpetual repeat. And I listened to My Sweet Lord for 6 hours, singing in the background the Maha mantras. I wrote George a little thank you note that just said, thank you. Your song, My Sweet Lord, saved my sanity. About 6 weeks later, I got an interesting looking letter, an official looking letterhead from the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And it was from Mukunda Goswami, who I wish I could get back into contact with. It just opened up with, George asked me to write you. And I'm like, didn't say George who, just George asked me to write you. And I worked out fairly quickly George who. And he held my hand. Mukunda held my hand over the internet the next year and a half while Katie underwent various other procedures and eventually died. Then her father kind of cut the connection because he was jealous of Mukunda. So anyway, whole different topic. But so that was like one person. If one person could be helped by anything, I just need to pass that on, because I want to be the kind of person that does those sorts of things, that helps people. We said this is going to be a collection of thoughts inviting folks to step away from the rush of daily life and find new meaning in the familiar things we tend to hurry past. That is as much of an admonition to myself as it is anything for anyone else. I do want to say, have a lovely day. Thanks for listening.